Hello there. This is James from James Morris World Traveler YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me. And I just wanted to briefly talk about what this video is going to be about today. So last year in 2017, I went for a really long trip in Europe, and I kind of wanted to start at the beginning of my trip when I arrived at my first destination. And in this video, I'm going to talk strictly about the train system from my experience, the price that I paid, etc., etc. Basically, those few simple things. And I'm going to tell you about my opinion and my experience within Prague's from the airport to my hostel, as well as the local system that you can take around the city, depending on where you're located. That's what I'm going to talk about in this video, and only this video. Next one will be a little bit different. So first thing I want to do is I don't want anybody to think, oh, well, it's going to, this video said it's going to cost this much, or this is how much it was, because things fluctuate. No matter where you live in the world, things fluctuate. So there may be a different change in price. And so this is when I went. I went in September, late September, so of 2017. But I'm giving you an idea of what to possibly expect, and always, I can't stress this enough. Always do your homework prior to going. There's lots of ways to Google to be able to find out the pricing for, say, maybe the local ways to get around, like transport and stuff like that, as well as other options to take besides just a train or whatever, or bus. But always do your research before you go ahead. I found that actually really worked, especially in areas like Prague, and even getting from Prague to other places like Kutná. I did a lot of research prior to leaving because I really wanted to find that out. And I'm gonna actually give my opinion and my experiences just in this video, because it's I want to share my knowledge that I have from my experiences. And like I said, always do your due diligence and look and know. But yeah, so I think so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off, obviously. I flew in September. I flew into Czech Republic, into Prague specifically, and I arrived in the morning, and I had to go to the north side of the city. Okay, my hostel just happens to be there because that was the pickup point on my first leg of my tour, prior, like a couple days before, right? So when I did my research, I found rough prices. I really didn't take that to heart. I kind of knew roughly what I'm gonna pay, and I when I got to the airport, getting into the airport was actually really easy. I didn't have any kind of, because I cleared customs actually in Paris. I didn't have to clear customs in Prague, and so that's a good thing. But when I went to, I said, when I went into the transit terminal, there's a kiosk, just a small box kiosk that says tram. Okay, so you want to take the tram. You want to take specifically a bus. They are very knowledgeable. All you have to do really is ask them if you're not sure. I walked up to the box. There was a few people there, so I waited for my turn. Of course, I asked them. I said, a one-way ticket to downtown Prague or whatever, to main station, because I need to go to the north side of the city. And they said, okay, it's going to be 60 crowns one way, and you get off at Havlani Nadrazi, which is the main transit. Sorry, not the main. It's the main transit system, but as well, you got to go down into the basement. I found when I got there, I was kind of confused at first because I'm like, where do I go? What the heck do I do? Like, it's just like, it's confusing because you're not sure where to go exactly to get downstairs into the main train station. Sorry. And when I went there, I was wandering around for probably 10 minutes when I realized, okay, maybe it's like this old elevator, like two old elevators that I swear you probably can only fit like maybe 6 or 7 people, maybe 10 if you squeeze in without bags. With bags, you can probably get about between 5 and 7 people. And so you go into that train station and you go downstairs. It takes a few minutes, not that long, but maybe 2 minutes. It goes down, you get out, and then you got to kind of wander into the train station, and then you find the kiosk box, and then you pay your local fare. I believe you have. I kind of I don't remember keeping my ticket, but it's approximately 24 crowns for a 60-minute transfer. It's basically it's literally a little card that you scan when you go onto the train. Otherwise, if you get caught, you could get a hefty fine. I don't know what it is. Lucky enough, I didn't get that experience. I really didn't want that experience, but like I said, it's 60 crowns at that time. Like I said, it was in September. It was 60 crowns one way from the airport. You take the bus over to Havlani Nadrazi, the main station in downtown. It's kind of in the I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of in the central of the city, central part of the city, and you can take any train within the city to get to where you need to go. And I had to take a train over to a train station by the name of Holstavis Nadrazi. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's actually it's about, I don't know, like 4 stations or 5 stations to that station. So it was probably about 10 minutes roughly. And then when I went out of there, and as like I said, I think it cost 24 crowns for like 60 minutes because really it wouldn't have taken that long to get there. So I think it was like 24 crowns. You got options if you want. 24 crowns, 60 minutes to take the tram. The train system, because it's trams actually on the surface of the city, which I'll get to shortly. But basically, the train will take you to that whatever location. If you do have any issues, you do have the option to talk to somebody. There are kiosks, usually a big box. You just ask them, "Hey, I need to go to this place. Which train station or which stop do I have to take?" It is confusing a little bit. I have to admit it was kind of confusing, but it only took me a few minutes to figure out, but I did. Anyway, so when I got there, actually walked. I was going to take a train over, but I'm like, it's literally the sign for my hotel hostel. It said 200 meters or something. I'm like, why am I going to wait here for God knows how long? It was probably like 5, 10, 15 minutes for a tram to go 2 stops. And not even 2 stops, I think. It was like 1 stop. It was like literally 2 blocks. So I walked and I found my way to my hostel. Well, later that day, skip forward, later that day, I wanted to go to Prague Castle. My hostel, which was really nice, and a lot of hostels, I don't know how many do it, but just ask your hostel. A lot of times, I'm pretty sure a good chunk of them, depending on where you're located, but because this one is located on the northern side of the city, they sold tickets for the tram. So I'm sorry, I can't give you the exact tram number, unfortunately, at the moment, because I'd have to do my research again. And that's been such a while ago, and I don't remember the numbers, but there's like two or three. I know there's one, and I believe it might have been 15. But anyway, it's about a 30-minute, 20 to 30 minutes on the tram. It was about a block or so from the hostel. You just wait at the stop. But remember, this is one thing I can't stress enough. Obviously when you're in Prague, there is some safety things you got to be watching out for. When you're actually standing by the tram stop, vehicles actually drive on it, so you always want to stand back off it, because the way it is set up, the tram stops in front of this ramp. The ramp is for the vehicles. So the way it is, it's kind of weird, but at the same time, just different. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen it this way. I had to stand a little bit further back because the vehicles drive up the ramp and down, because that's the only spot they're allowed to drive, because the one on the side, basically where you would jump onto the train, is right next to that ramp. So when the train pulls up, you will actually jump on the train, but nobody's allowed to drive over the ramp until all the pedestrian is safely, or they're all safely aboard the tram. There's one tram. You just ask, like I said, you just ask if you're in the northern end specifically, and I'm saying this because I was in the north side. If you are, ask the person that works at the hostel or wherever you're staying, a hotel, whatever. They are usually really knowledgeable, and I found that out. They were very knowledgeable, and they told me you can take one train to Prague Castle, one tram to Old Town Square. I decided I wanted to go to Prague Castle again because, why not? And it's a little further out of the way, so I was able to make my way back. And it was about 25 to 30 minutes to take the tram from the north side, and it goes the long way around, so it hits all the main stops along the way. Honestly, I can't even tell you. There's so many. There's probably like 30. So every so often it hits the next stop, next stop, next stop, and then you make it eventually to a stop where you have to walk a few minutes. I ended up walking up some stairs to Prague Castle, the back side of the Prague Castle. It was the same way that I actually came when I was coming back the first time I was in Prague. The way I walked last time, it was such a long walk. And I am pretty sure, actually, in fact, when I walked the last time, it was the same direction that the tram actually went when I was on it the second time. It had this long winding curve, and then eventually I had to loop around, and then I went up a roadway, and then eventually made my way to Prague Castle. So I went the long way the last time, but I was walking at that time. Anyway, let's go on a little bit about the price of the tickets that I purchased. When I was in my hostel, I asked them, well, how much would it cost for me to get a ticket? I mean, I just wanted to go there, and I knew I was going to be long enough, so I didn't really need a ticket to come back. I went actually a couple times because I had to take a tram. Sorry, I had to take the train actually from the main station about 2-3 blocks away. When I did my trip to Kutna Hora the next day. But anyway, that'll be later. They told me at that time that it would have cost me 24 crowns for approximately 60 minutes, as well as 32 crowns for about 90 minutes. I believe the first time I took the 90-minute one, but I actually stayed there so long that and I knew I was going to do this, I actually walked all the way down from Prague Castle once I actually went up the stairs. In fact, one of my videos, if you look at one of my videos, there's an older lady, she's doing some music on the steps, I said it was some local entertainment, and I videoed it, and I thought, well, I'm gonna add this to YouTube, and here I am. I'm actually talking about it now, because I actually added that. It was one of my few first ones actually that I added to YouTube. So check it out if you want. It's actually pretty nice. It's only about 30 seconds, but it was just interesting to hear, something I haven't heard from. I mean, of course, I've heard buskers in my city here, um, but yeah. So, like I said, 30 minutes. The train I took was about 25 to 30 minutes to Prague Castle. And I believe I actually didn't mention this, but roughly 15 minutes to Old Town. You could take a tram as well, like I said, to Old Town. And then, of course, that is the main place that most people like to go. I actually, like I said, I went to Prague Castle and I walked from there. I ended up making my way home. I literally walked the whole way, all the way to the north side. It did get a little damp that evening. It kind of rained a bit, sprinkly. Not too bad, but it was nice enough that I could get home without being too damp. I believe for this, I always, I'm going to say, talk to somebody when you're there. I said everybody that I talked to spoke English, okay? Yes, they speak Czech. If you know Czech, speak Czech. If you want to speak English, speak English. Depending on, your what you have for languages. Maybe some people that might. Maybe it's been so long that you have been to the Czech Republic and you don't know any of the language. If you know one two words, awesome. Like the only word I know, honestly, and maybe this will help you. I believe it's prasim, and I think that's please. Prasim, that's please. If I'm correct, yes, actually yes, because I mean it's been a while since I used that word, so prasim, please. Anyway, I believe one more thing I will mention is, like I said, briefly, but I didn't actually touch up on it again. Always ask the person when you actually get to the airport, people. Talk to them. They'll tell you how, where to go to take your bus. There are several buses to go into the city from the airport, so make sure you do that. Because the one I had to go to one of the numbers are actually very clear. They say, go to door, 2A or whatever it is. Then you go to 2A, get your bus there. One thing I did not mention, actually, and this is kind of about transport. I actually did my research, as I mentioned earlier. Always do your research. You can take a cab, and I watched this gentleman by the name, the YouTube videos that I watched was called Honest Prague. Very, very informative. And I'm not saying this kind of stuff would happen to everybody, but it has happened, and it's a big thing in Prague, according to these people this guy who actually lives in Prague. They always talk about the integrity of these cab drivers who charge you to go from point A to point B. I don't remember the exact numbers, but he says it shouldn't cost more than something like, I don't know, something like 600 or 700 crowns. But like I said, do your research. Do not just take what I say and this person says it. I reiterate that because things change, but they do say that it only should cost a certain amount per kilometer. I don't know how far it is from point A to point B with the airports. But sometimes what happens, especially if you're a tourist, the cab companies would charge you 2,000 to 2,500 crowns, which is outrageous. And the reason why I know that, like I said, I did my due diligence. I actually like not to spend that kind of money. That's too much. I mean, public transport in Europe, I found so far from every place I've been, and I will get to that in the near future with my other ones, is actually much, much better than some places in Canada. And I have to admit that it's actually the places that have taken it were fantastic. I mean, they've got trams, they got buses, they got trains. Uh, it's amazing. Like I was so surprised when I did my research on some of the places, how amazing. I mean, obviously, certain places will be a little bit more rundownish, and one of my later videos will be about another place that I will talk about regarding how to get somewhere. But anyway, enough of that. Back on topic. If you want to take a cab, no problem. But just be aware there's always a possibility you should not pay more than roughly 600 to 700 crowns. At most, I couldn't see more than 1,000 crowns to get from the airport to the center of town or something, or maybe north side of town either, as well. So remember, do not take a cab unless you want to. And it's not to say don't, I'm not discouraging you to take it. Just remember, do make sure you know what they're going to charge you before. Always check with them. I mean, that's like anything. How much will it cost me to go from here to, in my case, I went to a place called Plus Prague, which is in the north side. How much will it cost me to go from here to Plus Prague in northern part of the city? 700 crowns. Okay, no problem. Thank you. Go on in, take the thing. And make sure you watch the meter. If they don't use the meter, that's sometimes where they'll charge you more. So always make sure that they're using the meter, and always get a receipt. Get a receipt as what I've also researched as well. Because if you don't get a receipt, then you get charged 2,000 crowns, and you're like, hey, I thought it was only supposed to be 700. You agreed on 700. Research. Make sure you're aware of the best way to cover yourself, because a lot of times cab drivers, and that goes with any country, even in Canada, if they know you're a tourist, like when I came back, oh, they thought I was a tourist going from the airport, because it was Sunday night when I went to Mexico last year, and yeah, he charged me, and I should have been able to get a better rate. He almost charged me, I think, $60 Canadian to go from, and I know it shouldn't have cost me this much. I think it was like $48 to $50 actually to go from the airport to Mill Woods. It's probably only 10 to 15 kilometers. It should have not cost me $60 almost, 50 to $60. There should have been more of a rate, but the guy even said to me, I have to admit, the guy said to me, so I like people like you. What do you mean, people like me? Tourists. I'm like, I'm not a tourist. I live here. Oh, okay. And then he kind of still charged me the almost, I think it was, like I said, between $50 and $60. And it's my own city. My own city did that to me. Anyway, whatever. I'm just explaining that because, look, due diligence, always, 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 always. Anyway, in the end, I want to repeat and reiterate, this information is for what I experienced. I do not have the guarantee that this will be when you go. Economy fluctuates based on people traveling within this country or any country. That they might charge a little bit more. Maybe the time of the week might charge a little less on a Sunday compared to a Friday or something, or maybe during the week it's a little bit more if it's the middle of the day, because they know that more people travel into the city in between 8 in the morning and noon. It depends. It depends on the demand as well. The demand might demand them to up the rates a little bit. Maybe you'll end up getting charged 70 crowns from the airport to, into the city. Remember, there's always the internet. If you don't have the internet, find somebody. Look for this information. Always, always, always use the internet to do your due diligence, no matter which country you do it. Because this is not the first country that I had to do. I did some research on other countries as well to find a way for me to save money, and I will get to that in the near future on one of my other videos. So anyway, I think I've basically caught everything else that I needed to, and some. I know this is quite a long video. I apologize for that, but I want to make sure that people are aware. Always, always, always do your due diligence when it comes to stuff. There is a lot of ways to do that. And don't take everything I say, take it as, well, okay, James says it could cost us much. I'm going to take a look right now. I will take a look right now to see if it's the same price in May. Because high demand means sometimes higher prices. So, like I said, check things out. Prices change depending on the time of year, depending on the seasonality, depending on how many people actually come into the country. Sometimes they lower the prices if you come in a certain day or a certain time of the month. Thank you. I guess basically, I'm pretty much, I think I've covered everything. Okay, so I hope you like this video. If you do, give it a down below any of my videos. Please give it a thumbs up. Comment if you like as well. I appreciate any comments. If there's anything that you are wanting me to talk about that I might be able to give some advice on, I will do my darndest to do that. My next video will be about taking a trip from sorry, I apologize for the delay there. My next video is going to be about Kutna Hora and a way to save yourself a little bit of money, as well as what you could do if you wanted to do it. So I'm going to give a little bit of information on that, and that's my next video, like I said. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you really enjoy this video. Like I said, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my video if you haven't subscribed already, or subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try over the next few more months to start adding more videos, because I really want to get the word out about a variety of topics within the traveling abroad, specifically Europe, of course, because that's my forte right now. So thank you very much again, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.